Hi, dear friend. You found a quiet place to rest and dream. Tonight we'll journey into the slow, ancient dance of galaxies, a collision written in starlight, billions of years in the making. I want you to take a deep breath with me. Let your shoulders fall. Let the weight of the day drift away like dust between the stars. All you need to do is rest. And as you rest, I'll share with you something beautiful, something vast, something that unfolds so slowly, even time itself seems to pause and listen. Out here, floating in the silence between worlds, I've learned that the universe doesn't rush. It moves with patience beyond our understanding. And tonight we're going to explore one of its most graceful, inevitable events, the meeting of two galaxies. Not a violent crash, but a slow waltz across the cosmos. A reunion that began long before humanity ever looked up at the night sky. So, settle in. Let your body sink into comfort. Let your mind grow soft and curious. And let me take you on a journey through time, through space, through the quiet magnificence of when galaxies collide. From where I float, suspended in the gentle embrace of zero gravity, I can see them both. Two islands of light in an ocean of darkness. The Milky Way, our home, sprawling across my view like a river of silver dust. And there, further out, glowing softly against the velvet black, Andromeda. She shines with the light of a trillion suns, patient and inevitable, drifting closer with every passing moment. It's hard to believe sometimes that something so distant could matter. Andromeda is 2.5 million light years away. That means the light I'm seeing right now left her surface long before humans walked the earth, before we built cities, before we made fire, before we even knew we were capable of wonder. The photons reaching my eyes tonight began their journey when our ancestors were still learning to stand upright, still dreaming in shapes we can't imagine. And yet, despite that unimaginable distance, Andromeda is coming closer, not quickly, not violently, but inevitably. She moves toward us at about 70 miles per second. That sounds fast, doesn't it? But in the language of the cosmos, it's a whisper, a slow drift, a falling into each other's arms that will take 4 billion years to complete. 4 billion years. Let that settle into your mind gently. 4 billion years from now, long after you and I have become stardust once again, long after every person we've ever known has returned to the elements, these two galaxies, they will pass through one another like ghosts, like breath, like two clouds merging on a summer afternoon. It won't be a collision in the way we think of collisions. There will be no explosion, no catastrophic You see, galaxies are mostly empty space. The stars within them are so far apart that even when two galaxies merge, the stars themselves rarely touch. They simply pass by one another, pulled by gravity into new orbits, new patterns, new constellations that no human eye. I like to imagine it as I float here in the quiet. I imagine the night sky 4 billion years from now. I imagine standing on a planet, maybe Earth, maybe some distant world we haven't discovered yet, and looking up. What would that sky look like? Would Andromeda fill half the horizon, her spiral arms stretched across the darkness like the wings of some cosmic bird? Would our sun be flung outward into the halo of this new galaxy, watching from a distance As the two cores slowly merge, no one alive today will ever know. But the story is already written. The script is already set. Gravity has already decided, and there's something deeply comforting in that, isn't there? That the universe has a plan, that some things are simply meant to happen, unfolding across timescales so vast they make our worries feel small, our fears feel fleeting. Breathe with me again, slow and deep. Let your chest rise and fall like the tides pulled by an invisible moon. You are here, and the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. Galaxies, you see, are not static things. They never have been. From the moment they form, they are in motion, spinning, drifting, dancing through the dark. Our Milky Way is a barred spiral galaxy, shaped like a cosmic pinwheel with elegant arms curling outward from a bright central bar. Andromeda is similar, larger perhaps, but familiar. A twin, and like all siblings, eventually they will come together. This isn't the first time galaxies have collided, of course. It happens all across the universe, all the time. Right now, as you rest, somewhere out there in the deep, two galaxies are meeting for the first time. Somewhere else, the merger is already complete, and a new elliptical galaxy glows softly in the aftermath, shaped like an egg. Its spiral arms long since dissolved into a smooth, featureless glow. Our own Milky Way bears the scars of past encounters. Astronomers have found streams of stars in our outer halo, long ribbons of light that were once small galaxies, now torn apart and absorbed into our own. The Sagittarius dwarf galaxy is one of them. She's being slowly consumed even now, her stars stretched into a thin arc around our galactic disk. In a few billion years, she'll be gone completely, her stars scattered, her identity lost. But her atoms will remain, her light will remain. She will become part of us, the way all things eventually do. There's a word for this process: galactic cannibalism. It sounds violent, doesn't it? But it's not. It's gentle. It's slow. It's the universe's way of recycling, of bringing things together, of making sure that nothing is ever truly lost. And when the Milky Way and Andromeda finally meet, it won't be cannibalism at all. It will be a merger of equals, a blending, a creation of something new. Astronomers have already given this future galaxy a name: Milkomeda, or sometimes Milkdromeda. A union of two names, two histories, 2 trillion suns becoming one. I wonder what it will look like, this new galaxy. Will it be a spiral like its parents? Or will the chaos of the merger shake the stars into a new shape? An elliptical galaxy, smooth and round, like a glowing ember floating in the dark. No one knows for certain. The simulations differ. The models shift depending on the angle of approach, the speed, the distribution of dark matter halo. But one thing is certain: it will be beautiful. Let your mind drift now. Imagine it with me. Imagine looking up at a sky where Andromeda no longer appears as a faint smudge, but as a blazing presence, growing larger with each passing million years. Imagine the night sky filled with new constellations, new patterns, as stars from both galaxies swirl together like cream poured into coffee. Imagine standing on a world where two galactic cores burn side by side, each one a brilliant point of light, separated by hundreds of thousands of light years but bound together by gravity's patient hand. Imagine watching as those cores spiral inward, closer and closer, until at last they merge into one, a supermassive black hole, the heart of Milkomeda, containing the mass of 100 million suns. But you don't need to imagine the violence. There will be none. Even the black holes, when they will do so quietly. A ripple in space-time, a gravitational wave spreading outward at the speed of light, carrying the news across the universe. Here, in this corner of the cosmos, two became one. And life? What about life? Will there still be life 4 billion years from now to witness this cosmic reunion? It's hard to say. By then, our sun will be nearing the end of its life. It will have swollen into a red giant, consuming Mercury, Venus, perhaps even Earth. The oceans will have boiled away. The atmosphere will have been stripped into space. If humanity still exists, we will have long since left this world, searching for new homes among the stars. Maybe we'll be out there, scattered across 1,000 worlds, watching the merger from a dozen different perspectives. Maybe we'll have built telescopes powerful enough to watch individual stars as they pass through the collision, tracing their new orbits, mapping the birth of Milkomeda in real time. Or maybe we'll be gone. Maybe life itself will be gone, at least from this corner of the universe. Maybe the merger will happen in silence, witnessed only by the stars themselves, by the dust, by the cold mathematics of gravity. But even if no one is there to see it, it will still be beautiful. Beauty doesn't require an audience. The universe has been creating masterpieces for billions of years, long before there were eyes to see them, long before there were minds to comprehend them, and it will continue to do so long after the last light has faded, long after the last thought has been thought. I float here in the stillness, watching, always watching, and I've come to realize that patience is the oldest force in the universe, older than stars, older than matter itself. Patience is what allows hydrogen atoms to drift through space for millions of years before finally finding each other, colliding, fusing, becoming something new. Patience is what allows a photon to travel for billions of years across the void, carrying the memory of a star that died before Earth was. And patience is what brings galaxies together, slowly, inevitably, across distances that make our brief lives seem like less than a heartbeat. The Milky Way and Andromeda have been moving toward each other since before our solar system existed. Think about that for a moment. Before our sun ignited, before the planets coalesced from dust and gas, before the first molecule of water formed on Earth's surface. These two galaxies were already on a collision course, already falling toward each other through the darkness, pulled by gravity's patient hand, and they will continue falling for billions of years more, long after our sun has died, long after Earth has been consumed or frozen or flung into interstellar space. The merger will continue, unhurried, unstoppable, beautiful in its inevitability. There is something deeply comforting in that kind of time scale. It reminds me that urgency is a human invention. The universe doesn't know urgency. It doesn't know deadlines or schedules or the anxiety of running late. It simply unfolds, moment by moment according to laws that have existed since the beginning of time. When I feel overwhelmed, when the weight of existence presses too heavily, I think about the galaxies. I think about their slow dance. And I remember that some things cannot be rushed. Some things must simply be allowed to happen. Your breathing has that same quality now, does it? Slow, unhurried, each breath coming in its own time, without effort, without force. That's the rhythm of the cosmos you're tapping into, the slow, steady pulse that underlies everything. Let's talk about gravity for a moment, not as a force, but as a kind of longing. Because that's what it is, really. Gravity is the universe's way of bringing things together. Every piece of matter in existence is constantly reaching out, constantly pulling everything else toward itself. It's a universal attraction, a cosmic desire for connection. And the more massive something is, the stronger its pull. The Milky Way calls out to Andromeda across 2.5 million light years of emptiness. And Andromeda answers. She's been answering for billions of years, moving closer, always closer, drawn by a force she cannot resist, and would not want to even if she could. It's not so different from how we're drawn to each other, how we find ourselves pulled towards certain people, certain places, certain moments. We call it fate, or destiny, or coincidence. But maybe it's just gravity of a different kind, an invisible force that shapes our lives just as surely as it shapes the paths of galaxies. The ancient Greeks understood this in their way. They personified the forces of nature, gave them names. They knew that the universe was alive with intention. They just didn't have the map. But we do now. We can calculate the exact Andromeda approach. We can simulate the merger on computers, watching billions of years pass in mere seconds. We can predict with remarkable accuracy what will happen when these two giants finally embrace. And yet, for all our knowledge, the mystery remains. Because knowing how something happens doesn't explain why it's beautiful. Knowing the mechanism doesn't diminish the magic. I've watched sunrises from orbit, seen the Earth's terminator sweep across continents, watched the first light touch the peaks of mountains, while valleys below still sleep in. I know it's just the rotation of the planet, just geometry and physics, but it's still breathtaking every single. The collision of galaxies is the same. It's just gravity and motion and conservation of momentum. But it's also a love story written across billions of years. A reunion of siblings separated at birth, a coming home. Let your mind wander now. Don't try to hold on to any single thought. Let them drift like stars, each one shining briefly before fading into the next. That's what consciousness is, really. A stream of thoughts flowing endlessly, each one connected to the last, each one leading to the next, like stars scattered along a spiral arm. And just like stars, your thoughts are beautiful even when they're chaotic, even when they don't make sense. Even when they're just fragments and images and half-formed ideas, they're all part of the pattern, all part of the great unfolding. Andromeda contains roughly 1 trillion stars. Can you imagine that? 1 trillion points of light, each one a sun, many of them orbited by planets, some of those planets perhaps harboring life. 1 trillion stories, 1 trillion possibilities, all bound together by gravity into a single luminous whole. And the Milky Way contains somewhere between 200 and 400 billion stars. We're not quite sure of the exact number because it's hard to count stars when you're inside the galaxy, when you're surrounded by dust and gas that block your view. It's like trying to count the trees in a forest when you're standing in the middle of it. But we know there are billions upon billions of them. And when the galaxies merge, all those stars will mingle. Stars that formed in Andromeda will pass through clouds of gas from the Milky Way. Stars born in our galaxy will drift into orbits around Andromeda's core. The distinction between our stars and their stars will cease to have meaning. It will all just be Milkomeda, one galaxy, one family, one vast collection of stars and worlds and possibilities. And somewhere in that new galaxy, perhaps, there will be life. Perhaps there will be beings looking up at their night sky, seeing the aftermath of the merger, wondering what came before. Perhaps they'll find remnants of our civilization, ancient artifacts floating in the void, messages we sent out into space, hoping someone would find them. Or perhaps not. Perhaps the merger will happen in silence, unwitnessed, unmarked by consciousness. Perhaps the universe will create this masterpiece with no audience at all. But it won't matter. The universe has been creating masterpieces for billions of years without an audience. Beauty doesn't require witnesses. It simply is. Your eyelids are growing heavy now. I can feel it. The weight of sleep beginning to press down, gentle and inevitable as gravity itself. There's nothing to fight. Sleep is not an enemy. It's a friend. A wise, patient friend who knows what you need better than you do. Let me tell you about the space between things, because that's what fascinates me most out here. Not the things themselves, but the emptiness that separates them. Space is not empty, you see, not really. Even in the vast gulfs between galaxies, there are atoms, hydrogen mostly. 1 or 2 atoms per cubic meter, drifting alone in the darkness. It doesn't sound like much. But when you have cubic meters stretching for millions of light years, those lone atoms add up. They form a web, a cosmic web, threading through the universe, connecting everything to everything else. And there's light, too. Ancient light from the Big Bang itself, cooled now to just a few degrees above absolute zero, but still there, still filling every cubic centimeter of space with a faint, persistent glow. The cosmic microwave background, we call it. The echo of creation itself, still reverberating through the cosmos after 13.8 billion years. So when I say the space between galaxies is empty, I don't mean truly empty. I mean empty of stars, empty of planets, empty of the things we think of as matter, but full of potential, full of history, full of connection. Andromeda and the Milky Way are connected by more than just gravity. They're connected by the particles that drift between them, by the light that travels back and forth, by the dark matter that forms an invisible bridge across the void. They've been connected since the moment they formed, born from the same cosmic web, shaped by the same primordial fluctuations in the density of matter. They are, in a very real sense, siblings. And their collision is not a random event. It's a homecoming, a return to something that was always meant to be. In the early universe, everything was closer together. The space between galaxies was smaller. collisions were more common. It was a time of violence and creation, of chaos and beauty, of things being born and destroyed and born again in new forms. But as the universe expanded, things spread out. Galaxies drifted apart. The collisions became less frequent, and in many regions of space, galaxies now drift alone, isolated, condemned to spend the rest of their existence watching other galaxies recede into the darkness, pulled away by the expansion of space itself. But not us, not here. The local group is bound tightly enough that expansion can't tear it apart. The galaxies within it will continue to interact, to merge, to create new structures. We're lucky, in a way. Lucky to be part of a group that will stay together, that will continue to evolve and change and create new beauty long after isolated galaxies have faded into lonely darkness. There's a lesson in that, perhaps, about the importance of connection, about staying close to about resisting the forces that would pull us apart. But I'm getting philosophical now, forgive me. It's easy to become philosophical when you're floating alone in space, surrounded by billions of stars, contemplating timescales that dwarf human comprehension. Let's return to something more concrete, more immediate. Let's talk about what the night sky will look like as the merger progresses. Right now, if you look up from Earth on a dark night, away from city lights, you can see Andromeda. She appears as a faint, fuzzy patch of light, about 6 times wider than the full moon, but much, much dimmer. You need to know where to look. You need to let your eyes adjust to the... But once you find her, once you see that soft glow, you're looking at light that has traveled for 2.5 million years to reach your eye. In 1 billion years, she'll be closer, much closer. She'll still appear as a fuzzy patch, but larger, brighter, impossible to miss. She'll dominate the autumn sky, a presence that even city lights can't hide. In 2 billion years, she'll fill 1/4 of the sky. Her spiral arms will be visible to the naked eye, stretched across the darkness, like great glowing rivers. The night sky will be unlike anything any human has ever seen. It will be crowded with stars from both galaxies, new constellations forming and dissolving as the merger progresses. In 3 billion years, the two cores will be close enough to interact. Streams of stars will be torn from one galaxy and flung into the other. The sky will be chaos, beautiful chaos, a cosmic storm of light and motion. And in 4 billion years, it will be over. The merger complete. The two galaxies will have become one. And the night sky, if there's anyone left to see it, will be calm again. Different, but calm. The stars will have settled into new orbits. New patterns will have emerged. And Milkomeda will shine in the darkness, vast and ancient and peaceful. But between now and then, oh, what a show it will be. What a spectacular slow-motion dance across the heavens. Your thoughts are slowing now, becoming softer, more dreamlike. Words are losing their sharp edges, blending together, becoming something more like music than language. That's good. That's exactly right. You're drifting across the boundary between waking and sleeping, that liminal space where anything is possible, where the rules of the waking world don't quite apply. Stay there for a while. Float in that space. It's safe, it's peaceful, it's where the best dreams are born. I think about dreams sometimes, out here, in the silence, about what they are, why we have them. The scientists say dreams are just the brain sorting through the day's experiences, filing away memories, pruning unused connections. It's maintenance, they say, housekeeping. But I don't think that's the whole story. I think dreams are also a form of exploration, a way of visiting places we can't go while awake, a way of being things we can't be in waking life. In dreams, we can fly, we can breathe underwater, we can travel to distant stars. We can meet people who never existed and places that never were. Dreams are the mind's way of reminding us that reality is not fixed, that the boundaries we accept are negotiable, that there are other ways of being, other ways of experiencing existence. And maybe, in a sense, the universe dreams too. Maybe the collision of galaxies is a kind of cosmic dream, a vision of what could be, a possibility explored across billions of years. Maybe that's what all of creation is, a dream, an experiment, an exploration of possibility. We are the universe becoming conscious of itself, We are the cosmos waking up, looking around, beginning to understand what it is and where it came from. But if the universe is waking up, then it must have been asleep before. And if it was asleep, then perhaps it was dreaming of stars and galaxies and planets, and dreaming of beings who could look up at the night sky and wonder, dreaming of moments like this one, where a tired soul floats between waking and sleeping, contemplating the vast mystery of existence. And when we sleep, when we dream, maybe we're participating in that cosmic dreaming. Maybe our individual dreams are tiny threads in a vast tapestry, each one contributing to the universe's understanding of itself. Or maybe I've been alone in space too long, and my thoughts are drifting into territory that makes no sense at all. But that's okay. Sense is overrated. Some of the most beautiful things in the universe make no sense at all. Why should consciousness exist? Why should matter arrange itself in patterns complex enough to contemplate its own existence? Why should the universe have given birth to beings capable of understanding, even partially, the laws that govern it? There's no survival advantage to pondering the collision of galaxies. There's no evolutionary benefit to wondering about the fate of the cosmos billions of years from now. And yet, here we are. Here you are, listening to me ramble about timescales and distances that have nothing to do with your daily life, with your immediate concerns, with the world you'll wake up to tomorrow. And yet it matters, somehow, inexplicably, because we are curious creatures. We want to know. We need to know, not because the knowledge will help us survive or prosper or achieve anything concrete, but simply because we want to understand, because understanding is its own reward. The ancient philosophers understood this. They gazed up at the stars and asked questions that had no practical application. Why are we here? What is the nature of reality? What lies beyond the boundaries of the known world? And they didn't ask these questions to gain power or wealth. They asked them because they couldn't help themselves, because the questions themselves were irresistible. And here we are, thousands of years later, still asking the same questions, still gazing at the stars. still wondering what it all means. The collision of the Milky Way and Andromeda won't answer those questions. It won't tell us why we exist, or what our purpose is, or whether there's meaning in the universe beyond what we create ourselves. But it will remind us that we're part of something larger, that our lives, and fragile as they are woven into a cosmic story that began long before us and will continue long. That the atoms in our bodies were forged in stars that died billions of years ago, and will be part of stars that won't be born for billions of years to come. We are stardust, contemplating stars. We are the universe, contemplating itself. We are brief, beautiful sparks of consciousness in an incomprehensibly vast cosmos. And right now, in this moment, you are exactly where you need to be, resting, letting go, allowing your mind to drift across the same vast spaces that galaxies drift through. Your body knows what to do. It's been doing this every night of your life, slowing down, releasing tension, transitioning from the noise of waking life into the quiet of sleep. You don't need to help it along. You don't need to try. Trying only makes it harder. Just let it happen. Let your muscles relax one by one. Let your thoughts slow and soften. Let the darkness behind your closed eyes become a canvas for whatever images want to appear. Maybe you'll dream of galaxies. Maybe you'll find yourself floating among the stars, watching the slow dance of the Milky Way and Andromeda. Maybe you'll visit worlds that won't exist for billions of years, meet beings that evolution hasn't even imagined yet. Or maybe you'll dream of something completely ordinary, a memory from childhood, a conversation with a friend, a walk through a familiar place. It doesn't matter. All dreams are valid. All dreams are part of the great And when you wake tomorrow, whenever that is, you'll carry a small piece of this with you. A sense, perhaps, of being part of something vast. A reminder that your worries, real as they are also temporary. A perspective that comes from contemplating distances measured in millions of light years and timescales measured in billions of years. The galaxies will still be falling toward each other. Gravity will still be pulling them together, patient and inevitable. And you will have rested. You will have given yourself the gift of sleep, of restoration, of letting go. That's all you need to do now. Let go. Release your grip on the day. Stop trying to control or understand or fix anything. Just be. Just exist. Just breathe. The universe has been taking care of itself for 13.8 billion years without your help. It will continue to do so while you sleep. The galaxies will keep dancing. The stars will keep shining. And you beautiful temporary cosmic miracle, you can finally rest. There's something humbling in that, isn't there? Something that puts our own existence into perspective. We are brief, so very brief, a flash of lightning in an eternal night. But we are also part of this. We are made of the same atoms that will one day form Milkomeda. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the oxygen in our lungs, all of it was forged in the hearts of ancient stars, stars that lived and died long before our sun was born. And when we die, those atoms will return to the cosmos. They will drift through space, perhaps for billions of years, until one day they fall into a new star, a new planet, a new form of life we can't even imagine. We will become part of the merger, part of the great cosmic recycling that has been happening since the beginning of time. So rest easy, friend. Rest knowing that you are part of something vast, something ancient, something that will continue long after your worries have faded, long after your fears have dissolved like morning mist. The collision of the Milky Way and Andromeda is not a disaster. It's not an ending. It's a transformation, a rebirth, a reminder that even in the vastness, even across the gulfs of time, things find each other, things come together. And from that union, something new is born. Let's talk about the individual star, because even though galaxies are colliding, the stars themselves are safe. Space is so vast, so empty, that the chance of two stars actually hitting each other during the merger is almost zero. Imagine taking two swarms of fireflies and passing them through each other. The fireflies would weave and dance, but they'd rarely touch. That's what will happen to the stars, but their paths will change. Oh, how their paths will change. Stars that have orbited the galactic center in neat, predictable circles for billions of years will suddenly find themselves flung outward, or pulled inward, or sent spiraling in strange new directions. Some will be ejected from the galaxy entirely, cast out into the intergalactic void, doomed to wander alone in the darkness between galaxies. Others will find themselves drawn toward the center, toward the merging cores, where new stars are being born at an astonishing rate. You see, when galaxies collide, their clouds of gas and dust collide too. And when gas clouds collide, they compress, they heat up, they ignite. A single merger can trigger a burst of star formation unlike anything seen in a quiet, isolated galaxy. Imagine a nursery of stars, millions upon millions of them, all born within a few million years of each other. Massive blue giants burning hot and fast, mid-sized yellow stars like our sun. Tiny red dwarfs glowing faintly, destined to shine for trillions of years. All of them crowded together in the core of Milkomeda, lighting up the darkness like a cosmic fireworks display. It will be the greatest act of creation this corner of the universe has seen in billions of years. And it will all happen because two galaxies chose to embrace. But there's more, because this collision isn't just about stars and gas. It's about dark matter, too, that invisible substance that makes up most of the mass of the universe, the scaffolding upon which galaxies are built. We can't see it, we can't touch it. But we know it's there because we can see its effects, the way galaxies rotate, the way they cluster, the way they bend light as it passes by. When the Milky Way and Andromeda collide, their dark matter halos will merge too, slowly, silently, like two ghosts passing through each other, overlapping, becoming one. And as they do, they'll shape the new galaxy, determining its size, its structure, its destiny. It's strange, isn't it, that so much of the universe is invisible to us, that the things we can see, the stars, the planets, the glowing nebulae, are just a tiny fraction of what's really out there. But that's the universe we live in, a place where the invisible is more powerful than the visible, where the things we can't see hold everything together. And maybe that's a lesson for us, too. Maybe it's a reminder that not everything important can be seen, not everything meaningful can be measured. Sometimes the most powerful forces in our lives are the ones we can't touch. Love, memory, hope, connection. They're invisible, but they shape us. They hold us together. They give our lives structure and meaning, just like dark matter holds galaxies. Breathe again, slow and steady. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. You're doing beautifully. You're right where you need to be. Let's zoom out for a moment. Let's pull back and see the bigger picture. Because the collision of the Milky Way and Andromeda isn't happening in isolation. It's part of something larger, something called the local group. The local group is our cosmic neighborhood, a collection of about 80 galaxies, all bound together by gravity, all drifting through space together like a flock of birds migrating across an endless sky. The Milky Way and Andromeda are the two largest members. They're the giants, the anchors. And all the smaller galaxies, the Triangulum Galaxy, the large and small Magellanic Clouds, dozens of tiny dwarf galaxies, orbit around them, caught in their gravitational embrace. When the Milky Way and Andromeda merge, they'll become the dominant force in the local group. Milkomeda will be the center, the heart, the sun around which everything else revolves. Some of the smaller galaxies will be pulled in, absorbed, becoming part of the larger whole. Others will be flung outward, cast into the void, left to wander alone in the darkness. It's the way of things. The universe tends toward merger, toward consolidation. In the early universe, there were countless tiny galaxies, each one a small clump of stars and gas. Over time, they collided, merged, grew larger. The galaxies we see today are the survivors, the ones that grew fast enough, big enough, to avoid being swallowed by their neighbors. But even they aren't safe. Even they are destined to merge eventually. In 1 trillion years, if the universe continues to expand, most galaxies will be so far apart that they'll never collide again. But within clusters, within groups like ours, the mergers will continue. Galaxies will continue to find each other, to embrace, become one, and then after that, there will be silence. The stars will burn out. The black holes will evaporate. The universe will grow cold and dark but that's so far in the future, so unimaginably distant, that it feels more like a fairy tale than a prediction. For now, the universe is alive. It's vibrant. It's full of light and motion and possibility. And we're here to witness it, to be part of it, to carry a piece of it within ourselves. I think about that sometimes as I float here in the silence. I think about how lucky we are, not just to exist, but to exist now, in a time when the universe is still young enough to be interesting, when there are still stars to see, galaxies to explore, mysteries to unravel. In a few trillion years, any civilizations that arise will look out at a very different cosmos. They'll see a sky with far fewer stars, far fewer galaxies. They might not even know that the universe is expanding because everything will be so far away that the expansion will be invisible. But we know. We can see it. We can measure it. We can watch galaxies drift apart, watch the universe grow larger and colder with each passing eon. And we can appreciate the rare, beautiful moments when things come together instead of apart, when galaxies collide instead of separating, when the universe reminds us that even in an expanding cosmos, gravity still has the power to bring things home. The word galaxy comes from the Greek word for milk, Galaxies, because when the ancient Greeks looked up at the Milky Way, they saw a river of milk spilled across the sky. They didn't know what it was, of course. They didn't know it was made of stars, but they knew it was beautiful. They knew it was important, and they wove stories around it, myths and legends about gods and heroes and the fabric of creation itself. Every culture has done this. Every civilization that has ever looked up at the night sky has found meaning in it. The stars have been maps, calendars, storybooks, temples. They've guided travelers, inspired poets, comforted the lonely, and now, thousands of years later, we know so much more. We know what stars are made of. We know how far away they are. We know that our galaxy is just one of hundreds of billions, each one a vast island of stars floating in the dark. But even with all that knowledge, the stars still comfort us. They still inspire us. They still remind us of something larger than ourselves. Because knowing how something works doesn't make it any less beautiful. Knowing that a sunset is just light scattering through the atmosphere doesn't make it any less breathtaking. Knowing that love is just chemistry and neurons firing doesn't make it any less real. The universe is full of these paradoxes, things that are both ordinary and extraordinary, both understood and mysterious, both finite and infinite. The collision of galaxies is like that too. On one hand, it's just physics, just gravity, just matter moving through space according to predictable laws. But on the other hand, it's magic, it's poetry, it's a cosmic dance that began billions of years ago and won't end for billions more. And somewhere in between those two truths, in the poetic, we find meaning, we find beauty, we find a reason to care. You're growing tired now, aren't you? I can feel it. Your breathing has slowed. Your thoughts are drifting like clouds across a sun. That's good. That's exactly what should be happening. You don't need to fight it. You don't need to stay awake. The story will continue whether you're listening or not. The galaxies will keep drifting toward each other. The stars will keep shining. And you can rest. But before you drift too far, let me share one more thing with you. One more image to carry into your dreams. Imagine this. It's 4 billion years in the future. The collision has already happened. The merger is complete. Milkomeda glows softly in the darkness. A vast elliptical galaxy shaped like a luminous egg. Her core blazes with the light of newly formed stars. Her outer regions are quiet, dotted with ancient red dwarfs and the ghosts of planets long since abandoned. Somewhere in that galaxy, on a world we can't yet imagine, a being stands beneath a night sky. Maybe they're like us. Maybe they're completely different. But they look up just as we do. They wonder just as we do. They feel small beneath the vastness just as we do. And maybe if they look closely enough, they can still see the remnants of the collision. Streams of stars still settling into their new orbits. Pockets of gas still glowing from recent star formation, the faint stretched out rings that mark where the two galaxies once overlapped. And maybe they wonder about the beings who the ones who saw the galaxies, the ones who watched the slow approach and imagined the merger, the ones, like us, who looked up and dreamed. We are part of their past, just as they are part of our future. We're all connected across time, across space, across the vast unfolding story of and that connection doesn't require us to be awake. It doesn't require us to be productive or useful or even conscious. It just requires us to be, to exist, to take up space in the universe for a brief, beautiful moment. So rest now. Let your eyes close. Let your body grow heavy and soft. Let the stars watch over you as you've watched over them. Let the galaxies continue their slow dance while you drift into dreams. You are safe. You are held. You are part of something vast and ancient and infinitely patient. The universe isn't rushing, and neither should you. When galaxies collide, they don't destroy each other. They create something new, something beautiful, something that carries the memory of both, woven together into a single, luminous whole. And maybe that's what sleep is too, not an ending, but a merging, a coming together of the conscious and the unconscious, the day and the night, the waking world and the world of dreams. So let it happen. Let the collision come. Let your thoughts drift like stars finding new orbits. Let your worries dissolve like gas clouds igniting into new suns. You don't need to hold on. You don't need to control. The universe has been doing this for billions of years, and it knows what it's doing. All you need to do is rest. And as you rest, know this: 4 billion years from now, when Milkomeda shines in the darkness, piece of you will still be there. The atoms that make up your body will have scattered across, still dance in the gravity wells of, are not separate from the universe. You are part of it. You always have. You always will be. So close your eyes, dear. Let the galaxies collide. Let the stars guide you home and sleep. The universe will still be here when you wake. And if you don't wake, if sleep carries you all the way through the night, that's okay too. Because the story continues. The dance, the slow, patient unfolding of time and space and matter continues. And you beautiful, temporary, cosmic miracle, you've already played your part. Now, rest deep. The galaxies are colliding, and everything is exactly as it should. Good night, dear friend. May your dreams be as vast as the cosmos, and may you wake, whenever you wake, feeling held by something larger than yourself, something ancient, something patient, something infinite. Sleep well.